So on the front cover of the Examiner the other day, I noticed that the headline was that the government are wanting one of the old derelict mills in Huddersfield to be turned into a apartment blocks for asylum seekers. Now, the phrase and term asylum seekers, although it has a meaning for people who are coming into the country seeking asylum, it has a second connotation which is attached to the word asylum, which is where people are sent to an asylum when they've got something wrong with them psychologically. Like, for example, at Lancaster, they used to have the loony bin at Lancaster, which actually was an old church building, funnily enough. That's why they call it the River Loon and lunatics, where they sent people to the lunatic asylum, right? So it's the council actually they're not happy about it. The council are not happy about this mill being selected for asylum seekers, right? And they are complaining to the government. They're writing an objection and complaint about it, right? Now, to put the tag, to put the connotation on Huddersfield and Kirklees Council of the asylum tag, currently, our area, I have had a serious legitimate petition that normal human beings, rational thinking, logical, intelligent human beings have read the petition, signed the petition to agree with what it is asking and to agree with the evidence to protect our area in Kirklees and Huddersfield, to protect it from any more building, excessive building, to stop the King James School being expanded, to stop Earl Dartmouth building houses, to stop Castle Hill being built on, to protect the ancient heritage hill in Dalton, which has been built directly upon with a building estate in 1954 in the perfect shape of a letter D, exactly where the Alex Hogg map in the 1700s had put the letter D over the top of it exactly, right? And where the ICI had built up all around, and where the Victoria Tower's put as the ancient site. We know that our area has been targeted for being a liberal area in the past and siding with Oliver Cromwell in the Civil War against the Royalists, and previous to that it was the headquarters of the Brigantes, without question. Where else are there any ancient hill forts in West Yorkshire except for at Barwick in Helmet or in Sheffield and Barnsley? It's the only one. It's where the river starts going to the ocean and it's got the perfect landscape. Why is it that people have identified that Kirklees is being attacked by the Royalists, rubbished, labelled with terms and new names, calling it Waterloo, which is the name of a great conflict and battle. Also, loo is the name of a toilet, right? These are facts. It was built on. The other hill fort has got a Victory Tower on it. I've got other evidence to show that certain circumstances happened to arrange those events. What does it mean? It all comes down to the meaning of it. And the meaning of it is the same as why the Royals are buying up art, Andy Warhol. They're buying up art. You only buy an artist if you like an artist, if it means something. Why have they got the Tate Modern Museum where millions of people pay to enter and go in and buy and sell art for millions when it's just a toilet with graffiti on it? If it doesn't mean something, it means it's being spoiled. A toilet, a loo, there's a meaning, and therefore it has a value to someone who likes the meaning of the artwork and the sentiment. Just like the sentiment of ruining our hill forts and labelling it with names that are degrading and been done in the past. So no wonder when we investigate illegal road signage and we find out that the road signage has been placed unlawfully to trick us and mislead us, that's malice. It's something done to us that is not right. It's misleading. It's malicious, particularly when we've got all this evidence of all the sugars and breads that they're feeding us are putting us at a detrimental state of mind. They're putting us at a disadvantage, right? If you want to argue that, argue with Dr. Eric Berg, with Dr. Sten Ekberg. I'm not here to argue the science because that is fact. I'll roll the facts out all day on the science. The fact is, was it intended on purpose for a reason? It is detrimental to his health and it is widespread. Now, with the ancient sites, why do we have a Liberal Party and a Labour Party and a Tory? Because they're in opposition. Why choose a name? Labour. It means something. You only have a name if it has a meaning, or else there's no point choosing it. It's not the Sam Party. It's not the Buckle My Shoe Party. It's not the Baker's Dozen Party. It's Labour. And it means two things: having babies and giving birth, and working. Right? That's why it's a working class party. If it didn't mean that, it'd be no good. It's not called the Whistling Dixie Party, is it? We have to acknowledge meanings of things. Like, for example, when we go to Australia and America and they name places, Queensland, Kingsgate, it means something. It means something in an establishment to remind us and put into minds of human beings who's in charge, who's the boss, and who owns it, right? It is a power statement. Am I wrong at this point? Have I said anything incorrect at this point? Is my phone battery going to be shut down? Is someone going to re-edit this? Is someone going to intercept my channel so it doesn't get any views, right? Now, I have petitioned Kirklees Council and achieved 3,000 signatures for a full council meeting on a matter that legitimate, normal, right-thinking people have signed in large numbers, added together with other petitions that people have signed about Castle Hill, which to protect it from being built on and to protect the area around it, totaling at least 9,000 signatures from 9,000 individuals in England, right-thinking people, right? We don't want the area to be attacked and spoiled. Yet, what I'm finding happen while I'm in pursuit of that action through a legitimate political process is that weird, strange things are happening. Buildings are getting changed when there was no planning notice up. Then suddenly it gets built on and it changed Dalton surgery, right? Tricked, deceived. Yet I am posed now as a person, oh, I didn't notice. Oh, you didn't notice that, did you? You didn't notice that, did you? I've been deceived and tricked yet again. Not only illegal road signage, not only dodgy parking signs where people are getting fined for stopping here, fined for stopping there. When all they're doing is stopping at the side of the road. The sign's not going out properly, but people are getting fined. They're the ones who are wrong. There's something wrong with them. They're misbehaving. They can't read the sign properly. When it's written in this writing, that writing, this way around, that way around, they keep swapping and changing how it's written out. When in the highways manual, it's supposed to be written out one way only. Deception. Building planning notices not in place. You can't gather evidence on it when it's not there. How do you know the building? Then, lo and behold, after it appears, the time to object has expired. It wasn't there. We're being deceived. Now, It's happening in building and it's happening in highways. Whenever it's to do with someone being allowed to or not allowed to do something, it's been happening. Not all the time, because they can't get away with it all the time. Now, this council, I think, are starting to realise that there is something not quite right. There is something going on whereby there is a force at work that is hidden, it is insidious, it is changing things because people don't want to do what it does or don't agree with it. They are in opposition, yet it is using powers that it has, whether they are covert powers, whether they are hacking powers, whether they are using normal units and men and people and sending messages to send them to go do a job when no one's looking at night time, or whether this or that. And it's just doing what it wants to do, and it's covering it up and making it look like we are wrong. We didn't see what was happening. Oh, look, on Google Maps, it was done 2 years ago. Look at the council records, it was done 2 years ago. Then we are framed as there is something wrong with us cognitively. We are going wrong in the head. We can't remember properly. We need to go to the lunatic asylum, right? And at the same time, I am serious now. I'm having things happen in the house. Either when we're not in or in the night time. There's a noise outside. I'm doing something, arts and crafts in the kitchen. I get super glue on the plate. The next thing, in the morning, my mum's asking why there's super glue on 2 plates when I only used 1. Right? And the other plate was clean. Also, a piece of paper that I didn't print anything out on because it didn't print. So I put it to the side. Then the next day, it's been printed out. I didn't print it because it didn't print. I brought the blank piece of paper back in here. Someone has printed it out. Right? Now, I am not Chris Cornell or Kurt Cobain. Someone is. I don't want a gate on the house, and I don't want a gate on the windows. I refuse. I don't want it to look like Buckingham Palace, because we trust people. I won't be like the school with a fence round it, right? I trust neighbours. But because of COVID and how we've been treated, and the news and the press, we're being set against each other. The pub down the road's got a horrible fence on it. Why? Because someone complained in one of the houses, or somebody got them to complain, or maybe the posters are complaining, so they couldn't use the spare back garden, so they ended up putting a fence on. I'm trying to get something printed out. Simply a map printed out. And he sent it, and he's changed the aspect ratio on it. So I complained, he sent it again, and he still hasn't done it right. Now, either he's doing it wrong on purpose, which I don't see why he would, or someone else is printing it and sending it to me, or someone's hacking his computer when he prints it out and changing it in between. I've had things happen to my printer while I'm doing it. Someone can hack my printer, right? And it's not only that, the list is endless. Things appearing on the street. Someone goes and fits a manhole cover opposite up the road that makes a noise, which is insidiously annoying, and it is absolutely upsetting me, because every time a car drives over it, it makes a cowbell sound. And I to contact the council, and someone is intervening in the message so the council don't go and fix it. Or they're ignoring me, right? So the council aren't at my service. I don't have the power to get the council to do something to fix it. They're ignoring it, so it makes me feel powerless. No one is serving me. It's Her Majesty's Council. And if they want to send someone to put a grate there to annoy me, and I can't do anything about it, I have to go and super glue the thing down to make it quiet. So I'm having to do it. I don't have anyone on my side. That's how they're framing it. Now, there is nothing wrong with me, right? And there's nothing wrong with 9,000 people who sign and agree that we are having our heritage attacked because they have signed it. When I go on the Change.org site, it's been hindered. They take away the YouTube video preview so you can't see them. Then signatures aren't getting added, yet even our councillor signs who is on our side, Alison Munro. Yet, still, there's issues, so we have to move to 38 degrees. And then when you click on your image on 38 degrees, you can message them, or you click to the side, you can see people's other campaigns they've got. Then it got changed, so you can't see the other campaigns. You can't see the other campaigns that people have got. So when you get 5,000 signatures from people, you might get 3,000 or 4,000 of them looking at your other campaigns, and you might get signatures on those. Not when you can't view it. Someone is acting and executing manoeuvres, thereby, whatever I do, they're making it harder and harder and harder and harder for me. So things aren't going my way when I do something and people help. So it's not going to be helping my other things and things like that, right? Who else would it be? Who is the opposition? It's Earl Dartmouth, Victoria Tower. It's Her Majesty's government. Now His Majesty's government. And it doesn't look like he's going to be the saviour of England and close down the sugar and bread factory. Because no matter how many conservation projects or wildlife or Royal Society for the Preservation of Cruelty to Birds or whatever they do in charity, why is there evidence from professional YouTube doctors who have millions of subscribers that what they are doing to us is harmful in food and detrimental? It's almost like a military operation to keep us at a disadvantageous state of normal being in daily life. And when we find those who are at the peak performance, the Oxford rowing team, the most fit and healthy specimens in this country, who is their doctor? An American doctor. And what words does he say when he speaks in his interview? The first words we hear him say. When we're doing things that affect a large, big impact on a large amount of people. Why would you say that if you are only in charge of or being a doctor for a rowing team of a dozen people? Why is he using language in the medical profession, Mr. Blue Eyes, on the subject of doing things that have a big impact on a lot of people? Why do you need to have a big impact on a lot of people when you're running a dozen people in a rowing team? I don't know. I don't just think that this team, this side, this camp, this party is all about getting themselves to the best physical performance, to the best winning state of being. I think that they are absolutely set on not only winning and being the best, but making certain they do by putting everyone else at a disadvantage. And if anyone had a disadvantage in life over anything, it would be a financial disadvantage. Who can afford lawyers? Who can afford legal action? Who can afford anything when Jeff Bezos, Elon Musk, Bill Gates, and the firm, the family, and BlackRock Vanguard, God knows who, if it's part of the firm or family or not, are strategically exercising advertisements to get us to buy breads and products, when they are getting their doctors to give us Lucozade drinks as if they're a rep and executive for Lucozade, when we're young kids susceptible, and now Dr. Eric Berg and Dr. Sten Ekberg are even saying that agreeing with me that it happens at a young age and it can have a detrimental effect on your cognitive performance if you're fed sugars and breads from a very young age. No wonder they're not performing through school against the private schools. No wonder they're not performing in court if you get fined for parking or get fined for speeding. No wonder you can't perform. No wonder Sam Goozy is outperforming people in a courtroom. The champions of the Royals. Now, apparently, it's a criminal offence to overthrow a government, even though we can have another party in. But yet, when we look at history books, there's execution after execution after execution after execution. What gives one human being the right to claim supreme dominancy over the planet, but then, to make matters worse, they end up being businessmen, not content with getting money just for being the monarch and having an income for being there, going out into the world and having business with other countries, putting their products out there with a strategy, and then when they're out on a ship, leading the military in the admiralty and generals of the British military army, when they are attacking other countries and bombing them, it happens to be that they've got their own businesses, enterprises, shops and products already in that country, and it may very well be that the reason they're attacking that country is because the governments, prime ministers, presidents or leaders, kings, earls, dukes or executives of those countries might not be wanting to do the things that they want to do in business in that country, or what the government wants, or else why else would they have a boat there with a big cannon pointed at them attacking? Now, using warfare, military force, tanks and bombs is fair enough when you're wanting to make it clearly obvious that you are engaged in warfare. But when it's clear that within the country itself, which if it went to official war would not vote for or esteem any leaders at all for declaring war on its own country, why is it that we're finding that the enemies that we have and that we're faced with are builders, are contractors, are bakers, not just Tom the Baker in the village or Bob the Baker. It's Warburton's empire who are getting Robert De Niro and Sylvester Stallone to back them up doing gangster videos in a very threatening manner. And why is it those industries that are putting us at a detrimental effect, at a disadvantage in daily life? Yeah, we get, Prince Harry, I've left the royal family, but now he comes back on and puts his military uniform on. He's not left the royal family. He's in business, which effectively, if the royals own companies and own shares, that is their enterprise, and it's royal business, even whether it's by royal appointment. But if it's a royal company that it owns, why does it need to appoint it? It doesn't need to be by royal appointment if the royals already own it themselves, like Warburton's or the British Sugar Factory or Silver Spoon, which literally is slow poison. It's chemical factory, it's chemicals, it's not even food, it's chemicals. Chemicals is a refined substance, pure substances. Now, if we are opposing the businesses are the royals' businesses, that means that I am in opposition to and trying to stop Earl Dartmouth. I'm in opposition to and trying to stop the Prince Charles. Now, if I'm acting against the Prince Charles in what he does, apparently it's illegal. Because you're not allowed to do anything against the monarch. Only petition. What I find interesting is, even though there is certain legislation for companies and businesses and commerce, the problem is, if the Prince Charles owns companies and shares and the true ownership of them is all in mysterious shrouded mist, how can you take and win legal action through the courts if we can't go into court action with the royals? Because they can only be judged by the peers. Surely, if Prince Charles can be only judged by his peers or equals in the House of Lords, or the Archbishop, right? Surely that is for all legal cases, including civil, criminal, marriage, and any other case that you could possibly imagine. So, how am we supposed to win and beat him in the civil court over his business enterprises that are taking over his villages and towns? Because he literally owns everything now, including the entire British coastline, Neil, and he can do what he wants with it. So when he's redecorating it all, and we don't like it, does that mean now that the English Empire has grown so big that it has the right to choose, redesign the decor and buildings of the country and the world? Because, in theory, if we prove company ownership to those people, we are not allowed to oppose them and beat them in courts. So that means we don't have a case. So no wonder Boris Johnson was trying to take away the right to object. We have got the right to object in the local council, but they're owning the councils. And now they're doing insidious moves and insidious manoeuvres and trying to claim that we are not right in the head. Trying to claim that we belong in an asylum. Because they are using powers now which are becoming very apparent, intercepting broadcasts, radio, letters, the internet, God knows what else. It's obvious and clear to an intellectual person who has achieved an A grade in English, not under a private school, under the English institution, under the education system, that these are strategies. These are strategies and executed procedures which I believe this empire has been using abroad with the Chinese government, with the Indians, in Saudi Arabia, in Russia. Not just sending a diplomat over to have a meeting and then send the bank accountant over with his Aladdin fucking briefcase. Insidious cheating, manipulation. It's how they have attained this empire, business and positions. Illegal road signage, illegal parking signs, trickery, trickery, trickery. Yet we have them coming out. Oh, I care for birds. The Royal Society for Prevention of Cruelty to Birds and Animals and Forest creatures, the environment. Yet, why are they still pursuing appointments for sugar and bread and all the rest of the Ben and Jerry's ice cream and the insulting taking our names in the name of ice cream? They are influencing it. And all the music stars in the past have been selected, scripts written. Now, because of YouTube, they're having to up their game because it's facilitated free speech and free opinion, and now they're having to bring artificial intelligence in replica a new friend for your kids that they can program it to tell it what to do and advise it more than the parents, which is what Nicola Sturgeon's wanting to do, according to Neil Oliver, an esteemed, prestigious and well regarded television celebrity. Lawrence Fox, Neil Oliver, Russell Brand, Extinction Rebellion, Gail Bradbrook go out and cover London in posters and stickers because for some strange reason they don't seem to be getting any more followers, even though they got a large amount, then it stopped. Their petitions are, for some reason, not working, even though they've got hundreds of thousands of followers. There's some intervention going on. Russell Brand asks for his 5 million followers, who all comment on his channel and support it, right-thinking, rational people, all 5 million of them, commenting on his videos in agreement, asks the people to sign a petition to not pay electricity bills, 5 million people. What happens in response? As Neil Oliver, I quote, something in the cosmic tumblers clicks into place, the Queen suddenly dies and passes away, and they have all the billboards illuminated with the Queen's memorial, which really puts a damper on Extinction Rebellion's action and on Russell Brand's, which is essentially asking people to not pay taxes, which I'd have thought that they'd have had a heart attack. I don't think Prince Charles, even though he went and pretended to be part of Extinction Rebellion, it doesn't seem like, I can't see how he would be part of this firm and business with an influential part in it if he suddenly was going to pop on the crown, pop a crown on his head and suddenly say, okay, now we're going to, we've had banning for advertising for tobacco, now we're going to ban advertising for sugar and bread. And all the rest of the stupid Ben and Jerry stuff that we've got everyone addicted to, all our addicts, all their addicts. Yet, and then when we look into it even more, if you know what's going on, when you get there, let's get this clear, Sir Nick Clegg is one of their advocates. He's a knight of the realm. He's serving diplomatic service now for the country in Facebook with Mark Zuckerberg, bringing in this new metaverse, which is more ways power and control and more ways it can be hacked and changed. Sir Tom Jones, knighted. Here's a song, Tom. Where's Elton John? He likes getting old songs, Elton John, and giving them a revamp. It's his pie trick. Sir Elton John's pie trick. He's a candle in the wind. If anyone wants to mess with the firm, they get snuffed out like a candle in the wind. Or the fire blows around and sets everything else on fire. And as Tom Jones sings, we fight fire with fire. Someone selected Tom Jones a song, just like Elton John likes to do. Give it a revamp. Oh, that's a good song David Byrne's got there. Right? Which happens to be about imposing consciousnesses on other consciousnesses and getting the emergence, superimposing ideas or personalities over the top of each other, which is the whole point in television and radio. And, it's Gut Records. It's on Gut Records. Oh, that's interesting, because that's what we're talking about, exactly bang on subject with bread and sugar empire. He's destroying people's guts. Now, and metabolism. Now, never mind the Tom Jones song burning the house down. You know where you are. Oh, where's the headquarters of this Gut Records? Oh, it's in Cromer in Norfolk. Oh, that's funny, because that's where Prince Philip's knocking around Sandringham. Why is it when I read the lyrics in the new reimagined version of Tom Jones singing it with his bolt holes, it seems to me that every single line of that song ironically fulfills the analogies, the imaginings and the context of exactly this process and procedure of getting things done without it getting noticed or without getting pulled up on it. Such as, staring into your TV set, you ain't seen nothing yet. Particularly if they're sending out different broadcasts to different counties or to individuals, or even changing and erasing them. Which evidence do you want a fact? Am I talking nonsense? Do you want a fact from a academic professor in animation in the English University Institution? Right? Has said when they were going abroad and acting on behalf of England, things were getting edited and changed in their broadcasts and speeches. Dubbed over, changed words. You know where you are. You know who's who, you know what's what, just to put him in his place. It's the same man who went on holiday when someone may or may not have known he was going on holiday, and his wife ended up getting raped on a boat out in Greece waters. Where were the British military protecting him from that? Did they know where he was going and what he was up to, where he was going on holiday? Because according to the Tom Jones song, here's your ticket, pack your bags, time to jump overboard. It's ironic that Tom Jones song, once you start thinking about the subjects of how does the government get things done through their little Aladdin's lamp of, government computers and God knows what military operations, we have ways of making you talk. Why is it that the shoe fits? Why is it that the lyrics seem to chime with these things? And being a institution, a family, an organisation that is spending millions on paintings and on pieces of art, not just because it happens to be, the greatest skilled painter in the world, because he can, paint a picture like a photograph. There's a lot of abstract out there that they're buying, which is not that hard to achieve. It's only got a value because of who it is and what it means, right? And who says if it's any good or not? Let me guess. Who's pulling the strings? No, this person can't go on there. That person can't go on there. Yes. Oh, come up, Gary Barlow. The price is right. Come on down. Someone is aiding people to give the message. Be part of the canon. Be part of the cult. Be part of the Ben and Jerry's sugar worship, eating popcorn and watching films and then playing the gambling machines, which have got to pick a toy up when it doesn't even pick it up properly strong enough. And yes, Paul Stamets has got something to say about that in my other video, when he sat there with an arm grabber. There is nothing wrong with us, psychologically, other than when not hindered, when not strategically planned against to be put at a disadvantage, we actually can call out this other side for cheating, for corruption, institutionalized corruption, which means they built the rules into the system that are unfair and not lawful. These items here are supposed to be this specification, but yet they're not. But the rule of law says they've got to be. And they have to have a label on them to say who put it there, when and why. Yet it's not there. It's unlawful. It's against the law. Now the only problem is, when we're accusing 30 police chiefs of aiding, abetting on and organising that system, Sir Peter Fahey, in order to extract fines and money out of a population that's been put at disadvantage through its diet on purpose, with little hope of being rescued because of the influencer material growing around them on a daily basis, we've got a serious problem. Now, if I can't bring legal action against these people because they're in the Lords and they can't be prosecuted, then how is it that we've had past monarchs being executed one after one after one after one? Now, you can, on this planet, being a sane person who follows a national religion which has a book that clearly outlines and describes the difference from right and wrong, good and evil, which is a book that is for sale in bookshops all around this country, and actually copies are held in courts of law, and it has to be sworn on to give evidence in a court of law. The Bible, which clearly actually in that book, be you or be you not a religious fanatic, which I am not, because they use that book in a fucking courtroom, and you have to swear on it, why does it say the devil exists in there? And that he is of the side of greed, more, and excess. Now, who was at the top of the fucking greed, more, and excess list? Let me fucking guess. Am I wrong? Have I made a false statement at this point? Was any evidence to suggest that there is something wrong with my thinking or calculating? None! None! Because I am not fucking wrong, am I? Now, if we have to call on God for divine intervention against those who seem to act like they're gods, because only their group, peerage or family can be judged by each other, then we must call upon the divine intervention of God. Now, doesn't matter whether you're a Protestant or a Catholic to me, I don't care. Suit yourself. But it seems to me that we do need to have some sort of faith in some spiritual powers when we're up against insidious corruption that claims that it is not, claims that it doesn't exist. There is no events or anything unusual happening. It's all us. It's us that are wrong. It's us that didn't notice this changed. It's us that, that building didn't change. It was, we are being tricked and deceived and then accused of us not being right in the head or something being wrong with us, which is not surprising given that professional medical doctors are saying that we're being fed poisonous food, which is putting us at a disadvantageous state of consciousness for the majority of the time. Fact! Am I wrong? Have I mentioned one fact that is not correct? I will swear on the Holy Bible of God is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. And there is only one group that needs to go into the asylum, and that is the group that is in excess. Not Michael fucking Hutchins either. And that's another subject. Mysterious deaths. Michael Hutchins, Kurt Cobain, Chris Cornell, George Michael, Jimi Hendrix, Jim Morrison. Do these people disappear in the witness protection program because they don't want to be famous anymore? We don't know, do we? They're all mysterious circumstances. Now weird things are happening to me. But should I just sit here and not say anything and be scared, terrorised, in fear of people thinking I'm going nuts? I am mad and angry. What one thing have I lied about so far? Nothing. I haven't lied about anything. Never mind, you ain't seen nothing yet. Yes, because you don't see it when they pull the wool over your eyes because they sneak it. Experts at a national level. And the reason they have assumed that position is because anyone who starts looking into it or has the capacity to investigate it, police, ends up with a dead end, like the McCanns. It is, in essence, a McCann's case, and that means something. The police know it means something. Cans and can'ts, McCanns and McCants. Now, when they can, and the police can't, then the police can't even help themselves. So why ring the police if there's fucking shit disappearing and missing and being changed in your life, or you're buying and ordering things and it gets sent wrong multiple times? You end up arguing with the other person. I use the enemy, I use anarchy. If someone's intervening with your business or with your buying things so it keeps getting ordered wrong, you end up arguing with the other person. Just like we end up arguing with the pub down the road when they change the gates on there, when it hasn't got planning permission for that height of gate. You've complained to the council, and the council have not done anything. They have not done one thing. They're not serving me. Why aren't they taking it down? Didn't have permission. I don't have power when the council don't do it. And they want to make a point out of that. Now, is someone taking down the messages I sent to the council so they're not getting through? Just like someone's changed a piece of paper in here or whatever when we go out? Or are the council just ignoring it? Now, from what I've seen on the front cover of the newspaper, there are things happening that the council don't like with this new asylum, and the council are objecting. So it seems to me that it actually seems like the council are opposed to things that are happening. So likely that, and I think it extends to Facebook groups as well. We're all being put in neat little boxes, like in Facebook groups where, and then when you're in a group where you might be doing something that's politically strong, suddenly people are getting booted out or the messages are disappearing. That's a perfect framework to fail people. But we don't know whether it's the administrator doing it or not. We don't know whether someone else intervened or hacked it. Unfortunately, Nick Clegg and Mark Zuckerberg are now ready to take it to the next level and wrap it all the way around his head when it's insidiously corrupt and you can't get matters resolved on there. And the only place you go to get resolved is Facebook help groups that's full of scammers purporting to be operating out of Africa, whether they are or not. And when you write to Facebook, they don't do anything about it. They say there's nothing wrong with it. And then you get these other people boasting that they're untraceable. Bally John, I'm untraceable. Boasting about it. Now it's boasting when you are Earl Dartmouth and you get the new bus company to come in Transdev with darts flying around, D1 darts, with sinister characters winking and nudging. It's like they are laughing about the weird things that have been happening. Springhead Funeral Place pops up straight opposite. I don't like that. Then something else that I like disappears. That they know what you like. That's another line from the Tom Jones song. You might just get what you're after. But also, you might just get what you're not after, what you don't want. It seems to me that the only thing that you might just get what you want is when they're selling you the ice cream and giving you all the things, you get the McDonald's, get your ice cream. They want you to have all the things they've dressed up to look nice, to sound nice, which are actually causing detriment. All the things that you want and like, which are in the way of their building projects and plans for massive profit, or names for Waterloo. You are now declared a toilet area, toilet zone. And there's another song, let's have Waterloo in the Eurovision, if I could see what's going on without having to pay 20 euros for an observation in Ireland. It's got to an extent now where this family is insidiously corrupt and is desperate to purport that they are charitable and for a good cause. There has never been a good cause on the planet that operates around taking and increasing insane amounts of money when other people on the planet don't have any money, because that puts them at a financial disadvantage. There is a health disadvantage, which we're being put in by the food, that makes them more money and puts us at a health disadvantage. And to put the nail in the coffin, we're at a financial disadvantage. Now, in the Bible, which is a book that they have in courts and you have to swear on to give evidence in a court in their system, right? Without being a religious fucking fanatic. In their book, in the Bible, it says that greed, excess is sinful. Wrong, naughty, bad, however you want to say it. Am I a religious fanatic? No. Who is in excess? Not Michael fucking Hutchins. And Jimi Hendrix isn't in excess when he's fucking dead. Unless he chose to disappear in the witness protection, but we'll never know. Never know what happened to his dolly dagger, just like Mick Jagger. There's another island beside Richard Branson's for you. There's a theme in the Bond films. Villains seem to be associated to islands. And they have their own set of rules where they're not honest and they don't follow rules and procedures. And then we've got all these weird events like Richard Branson's island burning down. And then he falls off his bike and hits his head. He's a knight of the realm. Oh, it just happened to be the day after when Peter Fye, I sent him a knight's helmet in the post for a present. Because he's QPM, Queen's Police Medal. And then when he gets it, that happens to Branson. Is it a publicity stunt? We don't know. Did he do it? Is it a stage show for the media or did he really fall off his bike? These are the strange things that happen. Now, it says that you can ask for divine intervention to help you when you are suffering injustices or wrongs in life. And there are many forms of divine intervention. In fact, if you look up the criteria for divine intervention, the divine force can manifest itself through a person, believe it or not, when they're needed, among other ways, whether it's weather or whatever. But this is the thing. When weird and bad things happen, such like Richard Branson's house burning down or getting struck by lightning, whether or not some strange military unit caused it or not, covertly with a drone with a new little lightning conductor on it or God knows what, in the middle of the night, on a stealth mission, God knows what, Ian Fleming ideas and concoctions that they've been thinking up through the military, and they have a special department that thinks of ideas up to do these certain things. That's how they take out rulers. That's how they took out Saudi, how they took out the Middle East, the Americans, with secret drones and secret missions. It's all espionage and diplomacy. They have people in the army, like Ian Fleming, who wrote those James Bond films, whose job is to think of ideas on how they can execute operations and take out specific people or buildings without being identified, without being noticed covertly. That's a speciality party trick. Never mind David Blaine. Yeah, they can say, it's divine intervention. It was the power of God. Branson must have been naughty. God's not working in your favour. God's working in their favour. They have the power. Then just to, put the nail in the coffin, they throw a black glove down on the fucking pavement. Throw a black glove down. Oh, it's just fate or whatever. Or the public are against you now. No wonder the public are against us all when they are using all of the money they've taken from the public and they're using it to influence, groom and prime them with their adverts, material and foods so they worship, love and adore. Adore! That's a religious cult. Now, if that's the Protestant religion, what the Archbishop of Canterbury wants to advocate, it's greed. Now, the Archbishop, for all I care, has got a serious problem on his hands. Because I do not support a religion that is aiding and abetting on greed and excess to a point where it needs to protect its interests, cheat, steal, modify things, sneak around into places and out of places, and accuse the other party of being wrong in the head or needing to go to an asylum, when they're perfectly identifying and pointing out problems and issues that we are noticing. All 9,000 of them who signed the petition. All 5 million of them who listen to Russell Brand, who's telling people to not pay the taxes. Because really, why should we pay the taxes to a corrupt government? This is what caused the Civil War. With Oliver Cromwell, what led up to it were Buckingham and the taxes. Shipping tax, people didn't want to pay it. They refused to pay it. That's really why the Romans were over, to enforce the taxes. If you read it properly, Strabo writes that the reason the Romans were there in force was to enforce the payments and tax, whilst taking out the religion, which was illegal at that time, because it had power in awareness. Particularly when they had a religious order which was based around psilocybin, which has been part of our particular flavour of evolution. Yet it seems to me that the flavour that they would rather have take over was the flavour of bread mills and sugar factories, which now is proved to put us at a disadvantageous state of being. At a disadvantage. And now, while we're at disadvantage, they're using the full cannon of power, money, advertising boards to keep us influenced. And the celebrities are helping them because they are enjoying the popularity. They're enjoying the nice things in life, which actually don't turn out to be that nice when they're making people ill. But they want to fight for it just because they taste and smell nice and they like them. That's what we're up against. I'm not alone. I am not alone on this planet. There are other people who have the same opinion. And not only people who have signed petitions, more people. Yet we are having the websites hacked, changed, intervention. We are being insidiously opposed and they are making it difficult. Every time we fairly and rightly make a progress, a new blockage is put up in place to restrict that. Even though we're meant to have fair political rights. Just like Boris Johnson's refusal to debate petitions. It's a block. So how can we fairly engage in politics? But Nigel Farage thinks there's nothing wrong. He's sat there on his talking to the Insulate Britain and oil protesters. We were saying, oh yeah, you know, we the Prince Charles and the Queen were advocates of the environment. Bollocks! Rubbish! They have to look like that. Yet what are their firms and companies doing behind the scenes is completely the opposite. I think there's only Bill Gates is buying up all the farmland, but God knows what he's going to do with it. Is he going to genetically modify all the plants so they're not healthy anymore and then feed us them all? Is he going to try and wipe out all the plants on the planet so there are no plants left for us to eat unless only the ones on his land? You know, if he takes out all the Amazon and the African forests and woodlands, you know, what happens if he ends up owning all the land that anything grows on and nobody can even go pick a raspberry anymore for free when the light and water makes it grow? This is the thing with Mark Zuckerberg. He's wanting you to spend 12 hours a day or 8 hours a day in his metaverse when it's just an illuminated world, but you have to pay for the light that illuminates it. Yet, the sun comes up every morning and illuminates the world that we walk around in for free. And the rain comes down and gives us water for plants. You don't have to pay for plants to grow, funnily enough. It just happens when there are seeds scattered around the entire face of the planet. Who in the right mind would need to pay for any fucking leaf, berry or fruit on the face of this earth when it grows for nothing? That is insane. It's insanity. And I challenge the royal establishment to pay money for an item that God creates for free without any manual labour required whatsoever. This sun and rain make it grow from the earth. That is the divine intervention of God in a fucking sugar refinery and a fucking bakery. It's free. Thou shalt not pay for fruit or veg because it appears through the divine intervention of God. So why are we paying for it, Charles? Why is the entire face of this planet, Charles, paying money for food? Do you tax it? Oh, I've got a fucking watermill running outside of my house with a stream. Oh, well, we're going to tax it then. You cannot tax God. Ask the Pope Francis. You don't pay to pray. You can give free charity if you want, except if you're going to York Cathedral, but that's it. You have to pay to go in the Protestant church. In fact, fucking Alex Salmon and Nicola fucking Sturgeon have just been down to sign a fucking Protestant declaration. Did they charge the cunts fucking £10 to get in to the fucking cathedral to pay for the fucking roof fixing, or did they give charity for it? There is something insidiously corrupt in the minds of these people in charge. Rees-Mogg, I am not a person who needs my mind checking. I am not. There is something psychologically defective in Rees-Mogg and the Tory and Nigel Farage and the Prince, or the King even now, in their brain. Because I do not have to, or should not have to, pay for the sun coming up and the rain falling down. It's free. Now, anyone in the right mind would have an environment around them of fields and meadows where you can walk around and collect such food. And there'll be plenty for the local villages or town, because it's a no-brainer. It's not even difficult. Yet, the council sets up parks and gardens for flowers. It's not a funeral. And grass being mowed and mowed every day, which we pay our taxes for. Yet, you don't need to mow spinach fields or fucking potatoes or carrots. And there's allotment in an allotment when you didn't really fucking need one of those either. It's a no-brainer. Any computer model that was worth having when you don't even need a computer model, anyone who was get a piece of paper and design the perfect environment around them, who has a brain, would do that, because it doesn't need any maintenance and it grows. It doesn't even need to be complicated. Now, there's actually a insaneness and a defective cognition and logic to these bread factories and the sugar refinery. Mainly that they are harming us. And that's the tip of the iceberg. Never mind, you got to pay for it. And people who are locked in there working all day. We're paying to have his health damaged. Now, if they want to argue with the doctors, argue with them. And not the doctor who's the head of the Oxford rowing team, whose job is to make sure that his team is at peak physical fit performance, while we are not. It's not just about winning, it's about the other people not being in a position to win, or else they might lose. Oxford might lose if the other team get in a position to win. I am calling out this government on institutionalised corruption through institutionalised bad ideas come to fruition from years and years and years and years of greed and selfishness. And we actually have the right to petition without prosecution for a redress of those grievances, for whatever the solution is. Not being accused of belonging in an asylum, or accused of, something wrong with us, when it's clearly obvious that someone is interfering with certain people who are acting in protest groups, among other things, and hindering them so they can't succeed. Extinction Rebellion shouldn't have needed to do all the protesting. They could have had the petitions. They've been blocked and obstructed and given no other choice. Coerced into doing it. That's the problem. So, this is it. And I believe that we should have some form of government whereby we have a citizens' assembly like Extinction Rebellion want, or other rulers. We've only had one person or one family in charge for only just over 1,000 years. It's not even that long. When we've been here for hundreds of thousands of years, it is a very short period. You might say it's the period where we've made a biggest amount of progress, but for that progress we've made in technology, we have suffered because all greed has gone to certain people who wanted it all for themselves and believe that they are better or superior than other people. And I would say that is their affliction. That is a fault and a defect that the majority of people are now recognising. And if they want to be cult followers, cult advocates of that system, yet even that system is harming them, and it's clearly obvious that it's harming us now, yet they, and if that was allowed to be broadcast and spoken out about, then more people would actually think, oh, maybe I shouldn't follow this weird cult religion that is worshipping these celebrities and rulers when they've not got our best interests at heart, but they keep saying they are, but they're just making it, it's all for mankind. Bollocks. They are putting us at a disadvantage and using it to make things go a certain way, their way, and there is actually a defect in that. There's something wrong in that. It's selfish. And it's not actually it's not a democratic model for what it's meant to mean. It's a perverted model of democracy. So, I'm telling you now, our area is being attacked. Our buildings are being attacked. They're setting local people against each other so they won't help each other. They're using military operations, military level operations that they've been using against other countries abroad, foreign leaders. It's how they do it, through the woodwork, through the radios, TVs, changing and intercepting, going in and out of places when people aren't there, insidious corruption, and that's how they have been ruling and managed to continue doing so. I challenge them. It's insidiously corrupt, and I know it is because I have got evidence on it in my case on the roads and in building and planning. And there are more people who've got cases as well on it. Now, we might not be as bad as some other countries, but that's mainly because it's been our leaders and rulers who've been using these strategies on the rest of the world. And now, when that greed is not enough for them, we are starting to feel the effects here and suffering. Because they are starting to ruin the place and spoil it just like they did before in prehistory, and we've got evidence of that. Real, serious, factual evidence. Tell me one fact that's not real. You need to know what they like, what their interests are, what art are they buying, what do they like, what are meanings, what jokes they like, what is their attitude. Smegheads. I did a video on smeg. What's the meaning of smeghead? It's someone who, they've got fridges as smeg. Keeping you cool even though you're pissed off. That's smeg. It's a fridge. Keeping you cool even though you might be angry. Smeg. Why have smeg fridges? Who owns smeg fridges? Who owns the shares in it? What is the thought form behind it? Oh, it's Rimmer from Red Dwarf. He's a smeghead. Someone in a uniform, or someone who wants to be in a uniform, who wants power and authority, but not necessarily has got the competence. It seems like the whole government. It's actually about pretending that you care and you give a damn when you actually don't. And that's what smeg is. Because unfortunately, I don't have the style of smeg. I just have the style of rant and rave. But that's not smeg. Smeg is cool, calm, and smug, or even dispassionate, while you are amused or laugh at it. And I'm not actually amused. We need some people to take action. There are ways to do it. There are legal ways to do it. And there are right ways to do it. And one of the ways to do it is through spiritual avenues, because that might be all that we have. Well, there are actually laws. That's why they're keeping most of the things that they're doing private. Because when you actually look at the law and when you look at legislation, effectively, if the royal family declare every single thing they're doing and what they've got, then we effectively can't challenge them in anything or oppose anything through the courts. So it's actually undemocratic. If they declare all the businesses and ownerships and that it's part of the royal family and their assets and people, you can't act against those people. So you have no legal right of way, according to them. Well, you do by petition, but funnily enough, petition is bringing a case. So if you can't prosecute or bring a legal case against the peerage, then it's insanely ridiculous that you can petition the king, because that's to bring a case. So clearly you can. So according to the right to petition, effectively, you can petition for the king to be arrested and prosecuted in the Lords, at least in a fair trial in the Lords by his peerage. So we do have the right to bring legal case, but we aren't the ones who will carry out and perform the case. It must be the peerage or the archbishop. And, maybe we could even get Pope Francis under the European Court of Union or even the World Court or something, seeing as, the Pope has got the triple crown. It's not just a normal, it might be King Charles might have a new diamond from India and a jewel from Africa in his crown, but he ain't the triple crown. And the Pope ain't even that greedy. So, at least he's been forgiven for that, even if he is praying for us to have a daily dose of bread, which, we need to ditch.